Hiya, Sheena Douglas here again. Now what I've got and what you're looking at is a card made from one of my Christmas little sketchy images. This one's called Santa Baby, and what I want to show you is a really effective technique that I love and I keep coming back to, and it's just using distress inks, using just a monochrome. So basically I'm using black soot but then adding just a touch of colour where you can hardly even see it. As you see on this card here, I've actually stamped in black soot distress ink, but because I've got these really nice little cut out brackets here, I wanted to tie in the black into this colour as well, so I've tinted it very slightly with a tiny little bit of chipped sapphire, and that works great. And the reason I really want to show you this technique is because sometimes full coloured images like this can be a little bit intimidating. I mean, this is expertly coloured here, not by me, I have to say. This is by Linda, who's on my design team, and she's used it looks like Spectrum Noirs. So if you've got your alcohol pens, whether they be Copics or Pro Markers or Spectrums, whatever, you'll get a similar effect. Now that looks absolutely stunning, but it can be a little bit intimidating, and obviously it's going to be time consuming. So it's an alternative approach here to get something that looks professional, that looks really something that you would be, be happy to send, but it doesn't look like a shortcut, but it is going to be much quicker and a lot easier to do. And this is what we're going to be looking at. So this is the actual card I'd like to take you through. So there you go. Right, so what I've done is, just to save time, I've actually mounted my large, you can see how big this stamp is, the really big images, which is great for if you've got the extra size, the extra large nestabilities and things. You need a big image to fill those cards, so this would really make a really big, substantial, impressive card, this one. But you do need the extra large rocker blocks if you're using rocker blocks, and obviously it's stuck on there with stick and spray, in case you're wondering. That's how you stick it onto the block. But alternatively, you might want to use acrylic blocks, and you might want to use a foam, and that's great as well. So whatever your whatever your poison is, that's all good. So what I'm going to do, I've got some Centura Pearl card. Now Centura Pearl is the pearly pretty card that Crafter's Companion do, and it took me a while to twig on and realise that this was out there, and I got really excited, not about the pearly side but about this side, because being a stamper, I'm forever on the lookout for a smooth, nice white card for distress inks, for other water-based products, but with no or very low chalk content, because if it's got chalk in it, it's your enemy, and this doesn't, so it's great. So what I'm going to do first of all is I'm going to take my image, I'm going to take some black soot distress ink, and I'm going to ink it up. Now if you're a beginner stamper, always take the ink pad to your stamp, not the other way around. You can have it flat on your desk, and then you can feel pressure. You're going to get more chance of covering the whole image and with an even amount of pressure over the whole thing. Now be warned, if this is a brand new ink pad, Ranger really saturate their pads with ink. They really give you your money's worth. So it will be really juicy. So be careful not to press too hard, or you literally will have ink running where you don't want it. Oh, look at that. Oh, that's just a piece of paper. I got a little bit worried then. So what we've got is the image stamped out here. Now my ink pad's a little bit dry and these lights are really hot. So it's it isn't as black as yours might be if it's a new ink pad, but that's fine. The other thing you want to know, if it's not really hot under bright lights like mine is, what you want to do is you want to heat set this a little bit. Just blast it like this with a heat gun, just for a few seconds, because what that'll do is just make a lot of your image stick, because you don't want all of the line to blend when you see me do the next bit. If it's too wet, you lose all the detail altogether, and we don't want to lose all the detail. The other important thing is I'm going to use an ordinary brush. This is a Paint Fusion brush. It's just the number 6 round, and it's perfect for this. Not a water brush. Don't use a water brush for this. It's just you won't be able to control it. What I'm going to be doing is wetting my brush and then blotting it so it's almost dry. Okay, so wet it and blot it, and then it's ready to use. And you can see how lovely fine point that is. Start where there's a little bit of, if it does run away from you a little bit, the ink, it doesn't matter. If it's a shadow, like at the base of the little sled here, it doesn't matter if you've put a little bit too much water on and it starts to smudge away a bit, because you can just drag it out and it'll just be more definition in the snow. Don't, for example, start in the face area, because until you get the feel for how much water you actually need, or how little water I should say, you might get it wrong, and you don't want to, you know, ruin it if you can help it. So can you see where? And you'll notice, because these are hand drawn by me, I've actually put lines. This is just be exactly the same as if I was doing a line drawing, because with a line drawing, with pen and ink, you don't have shades. It's black or it's white. It's black ink or it's white paper. So what you do to shade is you actually use lines to give the impression of light or dark. And what you do is things like use cross hatching. So these are lines that go in one direction and then another. And you'll see I've got some on the pants here where it's going to be a shadow cast where his little jeans are. So it's going to be dark in there. And also I've got lines at the side of this where the little quilt is wrapped around inside the sleigh. Now the good thing is, when you wet it with your ink, it actually is like that magic paint in colouring books, because what will happen is the lines disappear and you just get a darker tone. Now this is important. This is because these stamps have been drawn as either a line drawing or as rubber stamps. If you've got a full coloured piece of artwork that's been adapted and it's already got, you know, watercolours or whatever the artist used, when you adapt it to make a stamp, you don't have that variation in the shade of the line, because the artist really just used a very faint line outline and then used the colour to give you the shading and the tone. So you lose that help really. But with this you haven't, you've got it, because like I say, they were drawn as originals to be used as stamps. And I know when I've drawn them, I'm going to have to go there on TV or do this and make them look good, and I don't want to make it look not good, because I'll just not look very good either. So I'm giving myself a good chance here. Now the box, let's make this side darker. See, I'm rubbing more of the black out. This side a little bit lighter, less water, and the top will leave light. The hat, let's do the hat. You'll already see there, see the dark tones there? So when you just agitate it, there's more ink being released. This brush is almost dry. You'll be really, really surprised at how little water you need to be able to control this. This is why a water brush, you just don't have the control. Now, the hat, little bit around the bottom. I don't want to lose that texture that I've got there in the little lines, because I want that to leave that still as if it looks like it's fluffy, the hat. The face. You can blend a little bit of the hair around the hairline, just a little bit, tiny little bit. Don't try and shade his face, give him a little bit of a shading around his eyelids or anything like that. You'll come a crop that leads to nothing very good. Well, it doesn't with me usually anyway, because it's so difficult. Just the tiniest little mark in the wrong way, if the water just runs in the tiniest little bit in the wrong direction, can be a very bad thing when it comes to faces. So just leave well alone and just do what I've done, and just around the very edge there. Now can you see, I'm just working, there's a few of the lines, a little bit there is a little fold in his top. Again, the skin, don't do much there. Right, now I've already darkened this side of the wood, so can you see that's dark there? Let's drag a little bit in here, a little bit there, and this I want lighter, so I'm just going to go really lightly across the top. This side we'll just drag a little bit. This line is finer, so it won't release as much black ink, so that's good. It's automatically going to do that for you. You'll see around there. If you want to create a little bit of a shadow around there, we could maybe drag a little bit, just a tiny little bit there where that little quilt thing would be. And you know what, I'm just going to leave that there, and then I'm going to do the little tinting bit. Can you see how that's looking? Dead easy and really effective. Now, to add a little touch of blue into that composition, because I want to tie it into the sky that I'm going to use the chipped sapphire for this time. Faded jeans, broken china, anything, you know, that would work great. Take your distress ink and just splodge it on a tile. Now you're going to use the tiniest amount here. You just want to tint. So by putting it on a white tile instead of the brown, I can see just how light that is. If it was on the mat, I wouldn't be able to see that. And I'm just going to use the tiniest little tint of blue, just to give a little hint of a bit of a colour, suggestion of colour, maybe in the snow. Say just in these areas here. And you know what, you can't really get the snow wrong. If you put an extra bit of shadow in there, you cover a bit of highlight, it doesn't matter, nobody knows it's irregular, it's snow. See, it'll be different every time. So a little bit in there, maybe just drag it a little down there. that's why not. Just have a little bank there. See, you can just have a bit of play with it. Do your own thing. And then maybe just a touch in this quilt, just in the little, where it's kind of in the recesses of that little puffy quilt there. Again, just to give it maybe a tiny little touch on his jumper. And that's all you need. You just want the tiniest little hint of that colour in that. But look at how quick and how effective that is. And I've slowed that down because I have been talking up a storm. Now we're going to do the sky. Alright, so I'm just going to get ready and then we'll continue with that. Okay, here's my cheat for sky. If I wanted to blend and create a nice dark sky there with a wet product like the wet ink, guaranteed it's going to blend all of this, because this isn't a water resistant ink, it's water soluble, it'll all be a smudgy horrible mess. So don't. Get yourself some cut and dry foam, start at the top and just circular movements like this, and then just start working your way down. So take off the excess at the edge. This is cut and dry foam is a two-part thing. It's part of a two-part team. It teams up with your non-stick craft sheet. It was brought out at the same time by Ranger, a few years ago now. And the thing is a bit like Chinese whispers. People show you one part of the equation, but sometimes forget to explain the benefit of the other part of the equation. Cut and dry foam is a naked pigment ink pad. And when you're picking up your ink, which is a dye-based ink in this case, they don't like each other. So the point is you're just picking up the tiniest amount, which means you're only going to transfer the tiniest amount to your card, which means you're going to get this really nice, controlled, diffused, blended, almost airbrushed look. The other part of the equation is your non-stick craft sheet. Now, what you do is you start outside the area and then you work down and into your card. And that'll give you that really nice diffused effect. Okay? Now, because I've done the sky, I want to go ahead and create a Kent balance by doing a little bit at the base. So, same thing, let's just darken it there so it looks like there's a little darker snow mound. Now again, this is where the card is essential. If this isn't working for you and you're getting lines and it's looking awful and you just cannot blend it out, it's the card. Try some Centura Pearl, then when you know you've got that sorted, then experiment with a different card if you need to. Fantastic, sorted. Next part of the equation, the snowflake stamp, that's on the same plate. Ink it up, stamp some darker snowflakes at the top, then stamp it again, and then stamp it again. And you're going to get a lighter version as it goes down your picture. Move it around so you've got random factor going on here. Right, how quick and cheerful is that? And then finally, the ho stamp is along the bottom. This is a bit trickier to line up. If you cut your rubber really close to the edge of your stamp, you've got more chance of doing it. And try and look over the top. Now, a clean rocker block would help immensely, but these are my rocker blocks, so you can work out how that's going. Not so much on the clean side. Now, look, I can't even see through that one. Right, this isn't going to be fantastically matched up, but that's because I haven't cleaned my rocker blocks. If you clean those, you're going to get a much better match. And if it doesn't, you know what you just do? Stamp out that little snowflake background again and cut out a couple of the snowflakes and just pop them over the joins. You wouldn't even know. There you go, job's a good one. Trim it, pop it on your card. Little bit of white, like a texture paint, or a little bit of white Pebeo, and then glitter and glue on top of it, and it'll make it look really fluffy. That's what we've just done. As you can see, before your very eyes, from start to finish in the time we've had, and that's the finished card. It's a different colour ink here, but you've got the effect there, and everything from there is from the Santa Baby. It's A6 stamp set, and if you're looking for anything, gallery, anything like that, when I'm on TV next, anything like that, it's www.sheena.tv. I thank you.